Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the We CAD Do It, or the Autodesk Inventor CAD and Design video series for the Harvard online event. So, in this episode, we're going to be going over a very important part of CAD and design, at least when you get to higher level implementation, which you most likely will with this event, and that is going to be 3D sketches. Now, I normally wouldn't do this, dedicate a whole video to a particular tool, but I believe that 3D sketches are very important. And in the next video, I will use 3D sketches as well as the Revolve tool and other 3D tools to discuss how you could optimize a design. As I mentioned in the previous video, also an extremely important part of CAD and design, especially when you get into, again, higher level programming and higher level design. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, a little preview of the next the next video. But before we get to that, I'm going to create a brand new part in this folder. Any day now. That'd be much appreciated. Thank you, SolidWorks. We'll go ahead and close up all of these tabs that I have open from class today. And as our part loads up, I'll go ahead and talk about our sponsor. Actually, don't know who the sponsors are, if we have any sponsors, but it doesn't matter because it loaded up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and create a new 3D sketch. We've already been over this. You're already pros. Just go pick a plane, and I'm going to start on the, I believe this is the XZ plane. Yes, it is. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started with 3D sketches. So if I go here, as you can see, there's the option to start a 2D sketch, but there's also the option to go down here, start a 3D sketch. Now, since I'm already in a 2D sketch, I'm going to go ahead and X that out of here. But I just wanted to show how to, what on earth was that? I'm going to click finish sketch. And I just want you to be able to compare how you create a 3D sketch as opposed to how you create a 2D sketch. So we're going to create a 3D sketch. All right. So now that we've created a 3D sketch, the first thing that you'll notice is that I don't really start at the origin. I don't really start anywhere. It just kind of goes into the 3D sketch. And the reason for that is that when you have a 3D sketch, a 3D sketch is not constrained to a plane. So you don't have to necessarily change your view. It's not going to normal it to a plane because simply, you're not going to be creating a sketch in a plane. And with that, what I'm going to do and what I recommend most of you do is go to this little draw drop down and click. Where's the precise input option? Here, I'm going to go to the line. There we go. So once you select something, there we go. I can go down here and click precise input. And it'll load, hopefully. Not sure what's wrong with my computer today. There we go. Precise input. And I'm going to click that up. Okay. So you notice the first thing that happens is when I pick a tool, it'll automatically create this thing. And this is called the triad. The triad is essentially indicating how the three cardinal planes that we've already discussed are oriented in respect to the point that you've made. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is click here with the line. And then I'm just, going to create a brand new line. And what you're going to notice is that unlike, the origin or the axes of your plane, the X, Y, and Z axes when you're in a plane, your triad moves. It moves with you. So you can always know what direction you're going in, because that's the thing. I can't just create lines willy-nilly, because as you can see, I go, what on earth? Okay, I don't know why this isn't working. My computer's just not at it today. I'm going to just create a new line. So if you see here, when you notice, when I go to create, what is wrong with my trackpad today? It is just acting up. Very sorry about that. But if I go to create a new line, you'll notice in my precise input view, which is in the top left corner, you'll see that I not only have an X, Y, and Z coordinate. So that means that even though the lines I'm creating appear flat to me, let's say I wanted to view them from, the normal view of looking at it from the Z plane. And if you'll find that if I do that, I gotta finish my sketch. You'll find that if I do that, and I'm gonna go to my clock here, view it from the Z plane head on, it'll look very interesting. It is actually a 3D, as you can see, is a 3D set of points that I can orbit around. And as a matter of fact, if I went back into this 3D sketch, I opened it again, create a new line. So right here, create a new line. As you can probably expect, this line is now going off in a completely different direction. See, this is the plane originally that we had made right here. All of these lines that we created on this one, direction, but now this line is going a completely different direction. It's offset from those lines. If I wanted to make a more extreme version of it, I could go ahead and go click my line tool and then just kind of go this way. And as you can see, this line is completely off from what I've drawn. So essentially what you want to make sure is that you can use the precise input tool to indicate the exact directions that you're going to want to go in. That's obviously extremely useful. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, this seems like a useful tool, but what can I actually use it for? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. Oh, I can't because I need to finish the sketch. There we are. We're going to go ahead and delete that, and we're going to create a brand new 3D sketch. Now, first thing you want to do when you start a 3D sketch is not do what I did and just draw lines. You're going to want to go, I don't understand why my precise input isn't popping up. There it is. Great. So what you don't want to do is just start drawing lines. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you know where you are. And so what I'm going to do is click here and click reset to origin. And now I can confirm that this triad here is at the origin. Now let's say that I want to create a line on a particular plane. I can go to my triad, click here, and now a line that I create. If you notice, my X here in the precise input menu in the top left, my X is 0, and that's because I am in the plane of ZY. So when I'm in the ZY plane, which is perpendicular to the X-axis, my X value is always going to be 0. So I can confirm that I'm in this plane here, and this is very useful for 90-degree angles. And 90-degree angles overall are usually what you're going to be using when you have 3D sketches for reasons I'll talk about in a second. So this is probably a very commonly used example of how you would use a 3D sketch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bunch of lines. Of course, all of them are going to be, I'm going to make them all 1 inch long, and to simplify it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, drag and drop. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all of these are sort of at 90-degree angles from each other. Right, so I'm going to go to line tool. Now what I can do, I can click here. I can reposition triad. Click here. Not sure why this isn't working. There we go. Reposition triad. I'll click on this point. It's on. Right. So I can go here my line, and I can click here on this point. And as you can see, click here, and I'm going to create a line in this plane here along the x-axis. And now what I want to do, let's say I want to go this way, I can just go ahead and do that. There we go. This way, and let's say I want to go, let's say I want to go up. Actually, let's say I want to go flat. Go this way. Let's do that. Actually, let's go this way. Yes. All right. So now we have a very complicated slew of lines that I can't view, unfortunately. All right. Oh, and all of these are insanely short. Probably should have made these all. Oh, this one's insanely long. This is why you should use your tools here to make the lines a particular length with dimension tool. Hold on. Let's go ahead and make these all 1. Right. And there are 2 lines there for some odd reason. But let's go ahead and roll with it. Okay. So now for some odd reason, we're going to go ahead and talk about, there we go. Fantastic. Right. Now we're going to go and talk about a useful why you would need to use these 3D sketches. So there are plenty of uses for them. The second of which is going to be a helix. A cool thing that I can do is just take a helix, place it here, and then I can make it go in a particular direction. Let's say I wanted to, for example, make it go along this this axis here, this x-axis. I can go ahead and just position it there. Then I can select, actually, if you notice here, this is selecting the amount of, the springiness per se of the spring. This is actually going to modulate the intensity of the diameter of the spring. So I'm going to say I want the spring to have a radius or diameter, in this case, of around here. Right, so now this dimension is going to be, if I did it better, I could probably make this 1 inch. So your diameter, I'm going to go ahead and make that 1 inch. There we go. So as you can see, we have that. And so what I can do here is something very interesting. I can demonstrate it first here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to my, there's a sketch. I'm going to go here to 3D model. I'm going to go to plane. Click plane, click a point here, and then automatically what this will do is this will create, if I click on this line, it'll create a plane that is exactly perpendicular to that line. All right, well, how's that useful? Well, I'll show you. What I can do is I click on this plane, just create a normal sketch, right? Nothing too crazy. Here we go. It's going to reposition this annoyingly in the wrong spot. But I created, say I want to create a radius, or if you guys get where I'm going, this a wire of diameter 1.5. It's a bit big for wires. Because you're not going to have quarter-inch wires are kind of big. But let's say you have a theoretical wire, or maybe a pipe, right? Well, how's this useful? Well, what we can do is use another cool 3D tool called the sweep tool. And what the sweep tool does is it's going to, I can click on the sweep tool, and then what I can do is I can click on this profile. This is the shape that I want the sweep to be modeled after, right? Click on the shape, it's already selected actually, and select curve. Now I click here on the path, and I select the curve here. So there we go. I can click here, and now what it'll do is sweep this shape across this entire line, this entire 3D sketch. And now I know what you're probably saying, well, wires aren't that pointy. Well, I'm going to show you another quick tool that I might have forgotten to mention in a previous discussion, which is actually the, go ahead and, so I'm going to go ahead and edit this. I can go back into here, a 3D sketch, and use another cool sketch tool that's not limited to 3D sketches. You can do this on surfaces as well as 2D sketches. All right, so unfortunately though, in the 3D sketch option, it's actually called something different. It's called the bend tool. Now, normally in 3D and 2D, this is called a fillet or a fillet, as someone who eats fish would call it, but the correct term in engineering is fillet. So what I would do is click two areas and it would actually round them right around there to eliminate that sharp edge. And I can give it pretty much whichever intensity of bend I want. So this is actually going to be modeled after a circle with a radius of 0.25 inches, a quarter of an inch. I can go ahead and do that for all of these. There we go, same thing. And there we are. Now what I can do is go ahead and finish my sketch. Look at that, it'll automatically update to this nice bend, right? It's like a piece of macaroni right here. Awesome, perfect. So after you're done making cool 3D macaroni, you could probably expect that if I go here and click here, what I could also do is I could also do this for this helical curve here. So let's say I get rid of, this nice crazy macaroni. Let's go ahead and undo this application of my sweep. Get rid of that sweep. Now what I can do is go back into the sketch, click here, and as you would probably expect, is I can create a plane. And then what I can do is click here. Nope, click on this point. I cannot click on this point. But what I'll go ahead and do is click, and that's how I click on that point. Go ahead and click there. And as you can see, I have now a line that is right here, perpendicular to this plane. Great. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. And you can probably expect what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and go here into my, where did I go? There I am. All right. I can go ahead and click here in the very center of my plane, radiate out. I'm not even going to measure that. I'm going to do this, finish sketch. Now what I can do is magic again. Just click. I already have my profile selected. I click here, go to the select curve section. There we go. It's going to be nice highlighted in blue. I can go ahead and click here. And magic, true magic right here. As you can see, I have a nice curly piece of macaroni, or it might actually be more formally in the engineering world called a spring or coil. Great. All right. So now, as you can see, this is a very creative and very amazing application of the tools here. Now, what we're going to do in the next episode is take all of this stuff, throw it together, and essentially figure out how not only can we use these tools to have different ways to create 3D objects, but we can also use these tools to our advantage to make sure that we understand how optimization works. And we'll be doing that through variety means, and you'll also be learning, again, how to use the Revolve tool. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.